His letter meant to highlight seniors at Tully High School is causing nothing but stress and anxiety for one student.
That senior saying that after being selected as a featured student, he was told what he wrote would not be published because he spoke about his own sexuality. Our Mary Keeler has the latest in her Crisis in the Classroom report.
17-year-old Tyler Johnson says he loves his school and community. He moved here in 2019 from West Virginia.
The students there are great. They're super accepting. I just came out right before I moved to Tully.
The Tully School District has a publication called The Night Insight and a Senior Spotlight section. Johnson was picked for January's feature and sent in his answers to several questions, including what his biggest challenge in life has been.
So I said that my biggest challenge was essentially growing up gay and having to navigate through bullying and trying to navigate through life itself and like all the negative experiences I've had from that.
Johnson says on Thursday, January 6th, his high school principal, Mike O'Brien, asked him to come to his office, claiming Mr. O'Brien told him they were going to take out his response about coming out and bullying because of a district policy that can't include sexual orientation or religion.
It just kind of shows you when they ask me what my biggest challenge is and I answer it honestly, then they respond by showing that it is my biggest challenge by trying to silence me.
Tyler called his mom, Pamela Custer. She called the school herself and got the same response.
Even in another question in his spotlight, he said Tully was his home. Like, he was safe here. And so for them to ask him to take that out, they took his safety net away from him.
I said, better idea. Completely take me out of the senior spotlight. I just won't do it. You know?
He made this TikTok video sharing his frustration, and it has more than 13,000 views and got national attention. On Sunday, the school superintendent, Robert Hughes, sent this letter to the community saying Tyler's response would be included in February's issue of The Night Insight and that his original decision to keep it out was wrong. Tyler claims the district hasn't apologized to him directly. On Monday, the superintendent sent another letter saying they're having an emergency board meeting tonight to address how they can better support LGBTQ students.
And you think we're making progress, and then something like that happens and you realize we're not as far as we think we are.
On Monday, signs of hope. Tyler says he came into school to these, but he plans to keep fighting to make sure nobody else feels the same way and says the district needs to work on their inclusion and sensitivity to respect all students. I was supposed to sit down for an interview with Superintendent Robert Hughes today, but shortly after we confirmed, he called me back to cancel. But tonight, we have another story of alleged discrimination in the district, and this time it's coming from a school social worker. We met Kyle Toronto Monday night as he stood outside the Tully Junior-Senior High School in support of student Tyler Johnson. Toronto is an elementary school social worker in the district, but he says not for much longer.
You are resigning?
I am currently still employed. I've submitted resignation as of Saturday. So my last day with the district will be February 25th.
When he started, Toronto claims Superintendent Robert Hughes had a problem with what he wrote in his staff bio.
He had pulled me aside in the hallway and said that I would have to take out the fact that I have a husband in my bio. So I was very upset about that. I was told that it wouldn't be able to be printed because board members wouldn't approve of my sexuality.
And how does that make you feel? Because
that makes me feel like less of a person.
Superintendent Hughes sent me a link to his bio, which does include the part about his husband in the October 2020 newsletter. Kyle says he kept his experience from his coworkers until last week when he heard about pushback on Tyler Johnson's senior spotlight response about coming out and bullying. Toronto says he wants the superintendent and the high school principal to resign, but at the very least, he wants the district to get more training going to respect everyone, no matter what their sexuality. But Kyle is not alone in the calls for change. Supporters were out Monday night holding signs and wearing rainbow flags.
I love the families and I love the students. And I really don't want people to think that all the parents and students and families have this mindset in this community, because they do not.
I'll continue to try and get that interview with the Tully superintendent and any more information he can confirm.
Hospitals are preparing for a new mandate for healthcare workers expected to get approval this week. Governor Kathy Hochul is looking to require that all healthcare workers receive a booster shot within 2 weeks of them becoming eligible for one. This comes as hospitals face a crisis, overwhelmed with patients with fewer staff to care for them compared to last year. That situation leading to less strict isolation times for nurses and staff. CBS 5's Connor White is live in the studio with more details for us tonight. Connor?
Amanda, some Central New York hospitals are adopting the CDC's guidance, allowing staff to return to work 5 days after they test positive for COVID-19, down from the original 10. New York State backs that plan while also citing safety as the main reason for not allowing unvaccinated staff to keep their jobs. A major hospital system in Syracuse says this is just the reality of the situation we're in at the moment. Starting Thursday, the state will suspend elective surgeries at all Central New York hospitals for at least 2 weeks.
These are areas we've identified overwhelmed hospitals.
Governor Kathy Hochul taking steps that she says will help ease that burden, including a new booster shot mandate for healthcare staff.
Obviously, the staff that are still here working have all been vaccinated.
96 staff members at St. Joseph's Health Hospital left under the state's initial vaccine mandate in September, choosing not to get vaccinated. The hospital's chief medical officer isn't expecting as much pushback this time around.
They understand what it means to be as protected as possible so that they can continue to provide the good care that we have here.
St. Joe's joins other hospitals dealing with a crippling staffing shortage made worse by Omicron. He says while transmissibility is high, vaccinations are proving critical in preventing serious disease.
Our staff are not immune to getting infected and having to take time out. So we are juggling that just like every other hospital, every other healthcare institution across the state is having to do that.
Losing staff to the virus led the state of New York to allow employers, including hospitals, to bring staff back to work 5 days after testing positive, a move supported by CDC guidance, requiring healthcare workers to be vaccinated and boosted for safety, but now shortening isolation times.
Is that mixed messaging at all?
It is to some degree, but I also think it's a matter of adjusting to what we're facing.
Dr. Falcone says St. Joe's is adopting the 5-day rule for infected staff, but is also requiring them to test before returning to work.
We are certainly doing everything that we can to make sure we have adequate staff, but that we're not returning anyone to work who is potentially going to transmit this disease either.
St. Joe's says they're reassessing that policy every day, as are other hospitals. St. Joe's also set up a portal for employees to upload their vaccination and booster status. A booster shot now required for them 5 months after Pfizer or Moderna and 2 months after a J&J shot.